welcome back, everybody. Um, so as we're waiting right now for our printouts to come out, I wanted to first of all welcome you guys back. Last week I was off, and seems to be usually when we're doing really good Torahs and stuff like that, a lot of things come in the way to make sure that this stuff doesn't get out. So last week was a difficult week to make this class happen, but Baruch Hashem, we're back this week. And just grateful to be doing this. I also want to say thank you so much for the Kaplan family who's reached out to me. Aryeh Kaplan's family reached out to me. I had beautiful conversations with them, and I'm so happy that they can join in to learn their own father's works, which is quite fascinating and amazing. And if any of them are on here, hi, how are you? You'll see me in the replay. How you guys doing? And Bezrat Hashem, one of the goals that we're trying to do is potentially head up to New York, do a couple of meditation sessions there, and give the class live from potentially maybe even one of Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan's children's house. Bezrat Hashem is going to be amazing. I hope so. So look forward to that. Yeah. So with that being said, also I want to thank tonight's sponsor, Anonymous, in memory of Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan's Zichrono Livracha. May his neshama have an aliyah. I also want to dedicate tonight's class for the birthdays of my twins, Esther Reisel, Bat, Michael Dov, and Yehuda Elchanan ben Michael Dov. Even though it's their Facebook birthday tomorrow, not their real Hebrew birthday tomorrow, I still want to thank Hashem for giving them, Baruch Hashem, another beautiful year. And my daughter's bar mitzvah is literally 2 weeks away, and they should grow in the path of Torah, mitzvahs, and good deeds with good health and happiness and joy. Okay. Okay, so the PDFs are not out yet, but with that being said, just do a little quick run through. This is now the third class of the Aryeh Kaplan meditation series based on this book called Meditation and the Bible. Now, what is the point of this book? What is the point of this series? Just to recap. As many of you guys know, we've been involved in the higher conscious Jewish meditation space now for quite some time, doing more practical, different type of meditations, teaching about that. And as Aryeh Kaplan was a big influence in my life, he is also a voice of the world of Jewish meditation that needs to be put out more. And he was one of I call him the OGs. He's an original author, incredible insights. I was able to translate tremendous amount of works, not only in going back, as you will see right now, in old texts, analyzing the Bible, analyzing the different prophets and their teachings, but also going through old Kabbalistic works that were never translated. And he was going to getting manuscripts and putting them together and translating in English and being accessible to everyone to be able to obtain these high levels of consciousness and connection to Hashem. So the first class, what we did is we spoke about this. What does it really mean in regards to prophecy? What does prophecy mean? And we spoke about going through a tremendous amount of sources showing how prophecy is something that can be attained when a person goes through high states of consciousness. And how do you do prophecy? Guess how? Through meditation. We also spoke that meditation comes from also one of the ways to do it is through the breath. We learned about what that is all about, how the breath is a very big part of attaining high states of consciousness. And basically, we learned through all of these sources that Rabbi Kaplan brings out in chapter 1 as a good introduction to set the actual tone of everything we're going to be learning throughout this series. And Bezrat Hashem, once we finish this whole series, we're going to discuss meditation and Kabbalah, going much later in moving forward past the prophets, past the times of David, past all these times of the temple, and heading towards the times of the Arizal and Abulafia, for example, among many others, and how they did what they need to do to attain high states of consciousness, how to go up into the worlds, etc. Super fascinating stuff. Last week, we spoke about the topic of Ruach HaKodesh. Ruach HaKodesh, as we learned, is the idea that a person can actually attain high states of consciousness and then be able to download and get a lot of information from above. And that could happen, as we spoke about, through prophecy. So you get messages. You might be able to have more awareness, consciousness, things that are going on that you didn't even know about that could be told to you. advice. That's the concept of Ruach HaKodesh. And we spoke about how do you do that? And we learned that there's many different avenues to do it. One of the more popular ways is going through these 10 levels, these 10 levels that the Gemara talks about. And then as we also explained, and I was talking about this quite to many, many people this past Shabbos, that Mesilat Yesharim, the path of the just, the Ramchal, one of the most incredible Musar books that are out there today. Rav Kaplan just goes, I just want everybody to know that that book was really meant that a person can learn how to go throughout the levels of Kedusha and holiness to prepare themselves. So what is the final stage? Ruach HaKodesh. That was an amazing takeaway for me. There's one thing I can walk away from that is knowing that this specific book is a must read book, not only because it helps you in regards to Musar and growth and how a person can and better themselves, but more specifically, that is one of the pathways to receive high states of consciousness. Did it print out? It's printing out? So we learned about that last week. This week, we're going to talk about, as I'm just going in order here with the book, is regarding the visions of Ezekiel. Ezekiel was one of the main major prophets. And Ezekiel, along with, as we're going to learn with Elijah the prophet, right? Eliyahu Hanavi, these two specific prophets were able to discuss, in a sense, what is the meditative methodology to be able to ascend? What does it look like? And they were the first ones, really, Ezekiel being the real one, who went into real detail in regards to how that process looks like. What does it look like? So, Bezrat Hashem, tonight's goal is to go over this idea. We're going to talk about some Kabbalistic concepts as well. Tonight's class, I don't think is going to be as long as others. We're definitely going to finish off doing a nice, good 15 to 20-minute breathwork meditation at the end. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll go home and have a nice sleep at the end of the night. But it's really, really fascinating because if you think about it, if someone told you, okay, back in the day, Jewish meditation was something that these people were doing, how do we know how they did it? How do we know what the experience looked like? There really isn't really any sources that show you, except the book of Ezekiel. So, Eliora, if you want to go ahead and share the screen with everybody here while we're still waiting for the PDFs for everybody here. My apologies. Technical difficulties. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Pri Hagafen. There's Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan. What a chus, what a merit. Okay, scroll down a little bit, Eliora. Keep going. Okay, so what we're going to have tonight is as follows. What you guys are going to see also very shortly. What I did is I literally gave you guys the full vision, the whole part of Ezekiel that talks about his experience that he had in this prophetic experience with Hashem. That's going to be one part of this actual PDF you guys are going to be receiving that you see here online. The second part, and if you want also, Elior, if you want to share that PDF with all those people in the WhatsApp group as well, that'd be very, very beneficial. They can go ahead and open it up as well to keep with themselves because a lot of these things, we're not going to go through all the details in this specific class because honestly, this is so deep and it's so vast in regards to every single line, what it really means. We're not here to do it in this specific class. I'm going to just chime in on a couple of different things. I would like to say that I would like to hope to say that within the next coming classes, we're really going to break down this vision and go line by line by line. In the book Meditation in the Bible, he goes through it a little bit, but he really goes into really deep into it in the book called Inner Space. In Inner Space, he goes into this book all the way in. So go ahead and share here with everybody. You want to scroll down a little bit. Keep going all the way down. Keep going. Keep going. As you can see here right now, we're just scrolling through all of this right now because really when I start getting to the thing, Elijah's vision, this is another one that you guys are gonna see his vision of what it actually looked like throughout this whole process. Keep scrolling down. Keep going. Okay. Perfect. A little bit. Don't have this. It's totally detailed, drawn down that. You know, in this world where we're living right now, we're living in a world called the world of Asiya. This is the world of action. In Kabbalah, there are four specific worlds. If you want to go up a little bit, please, Eliora. There are four specific worlds. We have the world of Asiya, the world of Yetzira, Bria, and Atzilus. What does that mean? The world of Bria is the world of action. This is the world that we're actually in right now in this world, planet that we're living in right now, everything that's going down. The world of Asiya is literally the world of action. The second world, thank you so much. The second world is the world we call the world of Yetzira, the world of formation. What is that world? The world of angels. So we have to know that, for those that didn't know, angels are real. And not only are they real, but part of their job is to send down messages to humanity, carry on God's missions, and be able to do these things, so to speak, for Hashem. Hashem sends them down. So that's the world of Yetzira. The third world is called the world of Bria, the world of creation. Okay, that's the place where it's connected to this idea of where the tzaddikim are, the highly righteous individuals. It's the place where the top dog angels are living currently right now. That's the world of Bria. That's the third world. And the fourth world is the world of Atzilus. Atzilus is the world that's only Hashem. It's the place of only Hashem. Why are we bringing these four worlds up? So take a look at the chart that you have in front of you. Let me get one also if you have a chance. Yep. If you look at the chart, you're going to see as follows. Hashem, his letters of Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey correspond to these four worlds. Okay? The Yud represents the world of Atzilus. It's the highest light possible. It's the world of only Hashem. The Yud is very significant because we can use Yud as a methodology for meditation. So Yud is really plugging into the source of the light, which is God, which is only Hashem, the world of Atzilus. The Hey, which is the next world below, okay, is represented by the world of Bria. The Vav is the world of Yetzira, which is a connector to the world of Hey, the last one, which is the world of Asiya. So Hashem's letters correspond specifically with these specific worlds. Okay? Good. So one more concept that we need to know before we move on is the concept of the spheras. Does everybody know what the sphirot are? Does everybody know what the body of the sphere looks like? Well, you're looking at it right now. It's this specific thing right here. Okay? What is this all about? So we spoke about this idea that the light of Atzilus, the light of Hashem, where Hashem is only basking right now currently, right? This light is so strong that if it right now came down into your neshama right away, you wouldn't be able to survive. It's too much light. So to make a long story short, because it is not a 2-second Torah, Hashem had to make shields and create a system where this light from above had to flow down to the world of Asiya, which is the world that we're in, so we can receive the light, feel connected to Hashem, hopefully feel connected to Hashem and plugging into Him, and being able to do that. How does that happen? It happens through a system called the Sfirot, right? The top sphere is called Keter. It's the highest light from Hashem. That light cannot be really it's not even tangible for us to feel it. So Hashem has to bring it down, officially now bringing it down, so to speak, to a level that's attainable, but very high. That's called Chachma. As you can see, that as Keter flows into Chachma, which means wisdom. Wisdom, Chachma, okay, which is represented also by the head, the brain. Chachma moves to Bina. Bina means understanding. Bina is literally like, Chachma is knowledge, and Bina is, I need to understand what you're telling me. So that's number 2. The third one, which is not here on this chart, is called Das. It's called awareness. It's called knowledge of Hashem. It's like Michael Benmeleh is telling me a Torah. I'm listening. Bina, that's Chachma. Bina is like, okay, I'm trying to understand it. Oh, okay, I'm like understanding it. Bina is considered like pregnancy. It's gestation. I'm trying to go through it. Okay, okay, okay. And Da is like, I got it. I understand what he's saying. That's Das. From Das, it flows into the 7 emotional faculties. Now remember, Chachma, Bina, and Da'at is your brain. It's the head. Chesed, now we move flow down. Chesed is your right hand. Okay? Chesed is the light that always gives, right? It's unconditional love. Then it flows into Gevurah. Difficulty, challenges, discipline. That's Gevurah. Then it flows into Tiferet, which is your torso, which is the balance of Chesed and Gevurah. That's the way we need to live our lives, balanced. We are not Mr. Chesed and we're not Mr. Gevurah. We need to learn how to flow in both spaces so that we are in harmony. That's Tiferet. Then it flows down to the light of Netzach, which is considered your right leg. As you can see here, representing victory, endurance, going through all the challenges, pushing through. Then it flows into Hod. Hod represents humility. It represents gratitude. Okay? That's Hod. And then it flows to Isod. Isod is represented as the actual Brit, the private part, but it's really the flow of Shefa that's about to flow down. As you can see, Isod is literally the foundation of this whole body. If Isod, this is now very important, I speak this a lot, and I always like to repeat about it. For men here that are online, if you're here, men that are here as well, you have to know the secret to getting close to Hashem. There's a million things to do. But the main thing, Rabbi Nachman talks about it and he stresses about it and he talks about it like crazy, is Isod. Isod means that if a person is connected to keeping the Brit, which means living a life of holiness and Kedusha in regards to relations, not only marital relations, but even if you're not married, where are you holding on your Kedusha and holiness? We're not going to go into all the details in this class. It's more of a man class. But the point of the matter is, if a man is keeping the Brit, living to a high standard of life when it comes to the Brit, keeping it, which means with holiness and Kedusha, following all the laws. Keeping Nida, for example, if you're married, as an example. What are you looking at? What are you listening to? What things are flowing inside your system? If a person's doing all these things, what happens is now that the light that's been flowing down flows down to Isod. And when it flows down to Isod, if the guy, if a man or a woman too, are keeping the Brit, so to speak, and living high lives of holiness and Kedusha, guess what? The light filters down until Malchus, which is the bottom. That's the world that we're living in. And it's super important to understand that because a lot of people ask me, well, I don't feel connected to Hashem. And usually the question begins, where were we holding on Isod? So I always say this, and I say this very sensitively, but I'm also saying this because I can, right? We know that many people become Baal Tshuvas and they try to get close to Hashem where they're just starting out. And a lot of people are like, let me put on your tefillin on you. Let's do the very basic, simple stuff. And all that is very important. But even more so is keeping the Brit. Because if a person wants to start feeling closer to God, that is the mechanism to do it. So Isod is the final foundation of the light that's flowing down until the world that we receive it, called Malchut. That's where we finally receive it. It's a receiver. It receives the light from Hashem. So we have, to sum it all up here, right? We have this idea of Atzilus, Chochmah Bina and Da'at, Bria, the world of creation, Chesed Gevurah Tiferet, Yetzira, the world of Yetzira, angels, Netzach, Hod, Isod, and then finally the world of Asiya, Malchus, this world. One more thing to talk about regarding the chart. We have different levels of our soul, which we spoke about in a different class, right? The bottom level of your soul is called the Nefesh. The Nefesh, as you can see here, I put it down for you guys, level 4. Level 4 all the way down. Level 4 has the Nefesh. That's the part of your soul that's basically mostly attached to your body. Okay? That's the one we're riding with on a daily. Okay? Then you have, thank you so much. Then the next one, going up to the corresponding to the world of angels, is your next level of your soul called the Ruach. Okay? We spoke about Ruach represents wind, represents breath. You want to connect to your higher self, we got to go through this level of Ruach, which also corresponds to angels. That's Ruach. Then the next level higher after that, which is corresponding to the world of Bria, is called Neshama. Neshama means soul, but really Neshama is your higher level self. That's who we want to tap into. Okay? As we know, Neshama, Neshima means breath of Hashem. In order to connect to your higher state, higher self, we can use it through the pathway of the breath. And that's Bria. Why are we learning about all this stuff? So we see that when it comes to the vision of Ezekiel, now that you have this PDF in front of you, let's go back. Let's go back to the first page. Ezekiel begins, we're not going to go through all this, but I just want you to see what we're holding with this. Ezekiel begins in the 30th year, in the 5th day of the 4th month, when I saw in the community of exiles by the Chebar Canal, the heavens opened, I saw visions of God. And he discussing what happened throughout this whole thing. I recommend that people take this home, read it. It's very interesting. As you're going to see, there's some bonus coverage here that you can use at home, take away ideas. You can try it home later. But you see how Ezekiel is about to discuss this process of him going up the channels, so to speak, and going up to the higher heavens. Okay? Now, if you want just again for people to look at it now that you have this, take a look at the second page. In the back, you have the vision of Elijah. I have both of these together because Reb Kaplan is showing you that these two specific visions are very much connected in regards to the prophets of the prophetic experience. Now, take a look at some of these lines, and I'm going to show you what's really going on. We're going out to this page right here. Okay? Keep going down. Beautiful. Go up a little bit, Eliora. Take a look at one of the lines. So he says like this, Vayirimu hakrubim haya hachaya asher ra'iti benahar chabar. The cherubs ascended. Those were the creatures that I had seen by the Chabar Canal. Reb Kaplan is showing you something already very interesting. Ezekiel goes up and he's talking about this prophecy. Where is he holding in the four worlds? He's holding up in the second world, okay? The world of angels. And he's talking about it like he sees this Chaya, he sees the cherubim. Cherubim, as we know, are the angels that are located also on top of the Ark of the Covenant, right? That are there, they're staring at each other, these angels. So he's hanging out in that space when he's receiving this prophecy. That's number one. Then we look and he says another part. He says, Va'erech hachayot v'hine ofen echad be'eretz etzel hachayot le'arba pana. As I gazed on these creatures, I saw one wheel on the ground next to each of the four-faced creatures. So there's this idea, and again, this is just my crazy brain with imagination. Okay, I'm just having fun on Canva. But you could see it has something called the Ofanim. The Ofanim B'chayos HaKodesh. If you guys ever recite on Shabbat, right? You say Kadosh, 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 right? You read this on the daily, okay? This is where it's coming from. Ofanim are wheel-like angelic creatures, okay? So this is what they look like. Good. We're just describing. I'm going to show you where they're located in the whole aspect of the four worlds. And if you want to even look at this specific page right here, okay, this one right here, you'll see what's going on. The first part is that he's saying is he sees these angels and he says below the angels are the Ofanim. We know that the Ofanim are actually located on the top part of the world of Asiya, which is this world, which means that Ofanim, angels, actually hang out in this world, which is really interesting to note that. Okay? Next time you see one, let me know. Okay? But they're here. So we have Ofanim, we have then the Chayos HaKodesh, we have these other angels here. Okay? Then Ezekiel says, going back down a little bit more, go back down to the graph. Here we go. Then it says, above the firmament, above their heads, so above the Ofanim, above the Chayot, was a semblance of a throne in appearance like sapphire. So we have this throne, a chair where a king sits on. It's called the Holy Throne. That is higher than that. So as it's brought down and explained in Kabbalah, that really means now that the throne is located in the world of Bria. It's located now in the third world. And then it says, on top of this was a semblance of a throne, and there was a semblance of a human form. So there was a person sitting down on this throne. Who is this person? Well, it's Hashem. Okay? And Hashem, so to speak, is sitting down on this throne. Where is Hashem located? In the world of Atzilus, the top world. Right? So the vision from Ezekiel is showing you already, he's hanging out up there, and his vision where he's holding, he's like, I'm hanging out in the second world. I see the Ophanim, they're kind of like right below me. I see the angels kind of like right above me. And from above that, I see from far away this throne. And really look at the wording it says. There was a semblance of a throne. It was like I kind of see this throne, and then I can kind of see a kind of a thing of a human form that's sitting on top of this throne, which you can really see kind of double vision. You're going to see why I'm going to say that in the world of Tzilus. So this is where Ezekiel is holding right now. That's what we're speaking with the four worlds, because we want to know location based. Where are we holding in the world and the spiritual worlds? Now, the next question should be, well, what do you mean, Michael? Hashem doesn't have a body. Hashem is not a person. How are you going to tell that Hashem is a person? So we have Rav Aryeh Kaplan brings down the pasuk. It says, Kol hanikra b'shmi v'lichbodi b'rativ yitzartiv afasitiv. All those who are linked to my name. Kavodi is referring to Atzilus. Berativ, whom I created, from the word of Bria, whom I created. Yetzartav, Yetzira, it's from the world of Yetzira. Afasitav, Asiya, the world of Asiya, I've made it. This is the pasuk that shows you kind of like, oh, there's the allusion to the four worlds. Now, why are we saying this? Hashem borrows to try to give up himself to explain to people who he is. He has to try to give himself some human-like understanding of him, even though there's no human-like understanding of him. But he has to try to explain his characteristics, who he is, based upon human emotions and understanding, because otherwise we really don't understand. Okay? Eliyahu Hanavi, in the introduction to the Tikkunei Zohar, talks about the Sfirot. And you see here, this is the source for the Sfiras as to how they correlate. The Sfiras correlate to the body parts, which I just showed you guys before in the graph. In the introduction to the Tikkunei Zohar, Eliyahu Hanavi says, love is the right hand, chesed is the right hand, power, gevura is the left hand, glory, tiferet is the body, is your torso, victory and splendor, as we spoke about, victory is netzach, your right leg, splendor, hod, is the left leg, are their 2 feet, wisdom, chachma, is the brain, bina, understanding, is the heart, which we'll discuss. And the crown of all is the place where the tefillin rests. This is an actual pasuk. This is the source to show you. It's very cool because when people think about chesed gevura, I know it's the body parts because I know this is the source that it comes from Eliyahu Hanavi. Now we know where it comes from. Also, we say this every day in davening in Shacharit. Lecha Hashem hagedula, hagevura, hatiferet, hanetzach ve'ahod. We say this every day. Did you know? We're talking about the Sfiras here. You look at it again, right? This is the 7 emotional characteristics that we spoke about in the graph, right? Yours, God, is the greatness, the power, the tiferet, the glory, the victory, netzach, the splendor, hod. All that is in heaven and earth represents Isod. Yours, God, is the kingdom, aka Malchus. You see that already we're alluding to the Sfiros during davening. And that's the part specifically when you're saying that, when you're saying those lines, the Baal Shem Tov says, after you're done saying those lines, you give 3 coins to tzedakah. You're literally drawing down. Now look about machshavas and ideas and thoughts. When a person's davening every day and you're going into that line, you're like, okay, I want to bring down this light down to myself as we speak. It's an incredible way to tap into that. You actually stop for a second, take a deep breath, and picture in your mind, you're flowing down this light going down to you. You say every specific one very slowly as you're flowing down this light that's coming down to you. And then when it says, when you finish that line, there's a part that the Baal Shem Tov says you give the 3 coins as I would say, as a mechanism to bring down the shefa. Why 3 coins that correspond to that? I don't know. But what I do know is that it's all very much connected. So based on this idea that the spheres body parts, the vision of Ezekiel, he's always the man of characteristics. Within those spheres, the 10 more spheres, but to make it really simple, not to complicate things too much, every single one of these worlds has 10 spheres. The spheres represent God's body parts. So when he sees the man on the throne, he's really saying, oh, look, also, these are all the spheres. These are the channels of light that are all flowing from this specific space. Does that make sense? Do you need me to explain that again? You want me to explain that again? Which part do you want me to explain? The whole thing? Just one more time. There's 4 worlds. Each world has 10 spheres. This is the way that the light flows down from Hashem all the way from up above, all the way down below. Okay? All the spheres we spoke about represent body parts. So when Ezekiel sees a man sitting on a throne in the world of Atzilot, in the highest world, if it's a man with body parts, it means it's all spheres, which means this is the mechanism of how the light is flowing down. Ezekiel is looking at a man. It also means spheres. Out in world number 2, in the world of angels, which is the world of Ruach. Communication from above comes many times through these angels. These angels will appear to you as a voice, as a vision, but the communication comes from the Ruach. So when he's in this world, he's talking about it like that. Next part, that, again, as I gave you as a hint, he says, when he talks about this man that's sitting on top of a throne, he says, the likeness of the appearance of a man. The likeness, so it's like, it kind of looks like level 1. The appearance of a man, not like a man, it looks like a man. These 2 wordings are not just meant for like, as a cute thing. They represent the fact that he's in world number 2. Appearance represents, I could kind of see it from here, world 3, likeness of a man, 4. Likeness, appearance. So you could see where he's holding, and you're actually, it's very cool because we're actually understanding where he is in the spiritual space, which is amazing. Where Kaplan's breaking this down. Now, this is a very interesting topic that we're going to discuss it because it's related to this. The Gemara talks about this, that the methodology of prophecy, right, is a wording called the Ma'aseh Merkava. Ma'aseh Merkava. The Gemara says, you're not allowed to learn that unless you learn. Right? Rightfully so, because if a person decides to go on this crazy path of, not crazy, but like you don't even know where you're holding, you're not ready, and you try to ascend up on that. We know stories in the Gemara that people did not come back normal. Let's just say there's many stories of that, right? So the Ma'aseh Merkava, the Gemara talks about this as like a very important thing, but not something that everybody's allowed to know about. You can talk about it like we're talking about it in a very more loose way, ideas and concepts about it, but not actually like, here is the keys, guys. Here is how you do it, okay? But the vision of Ezekiel literally is the mechanism to show you how to access the Ma'aseh Merkava, okay? Which is really, really cool. Now, Rabbi Kaplan, again, just for the sake, because he's all into language and he wants to always break down language, but he's showing you a very cool connection to show you that Ma'aseh Merkava, this prophetic way of how to attain high states of consciousness, is connected to certain things that he already spoke about in his vision, in Ezekiel's vision. Take a look. There's a pasuk that says, Zahav litzbuna tamerkava hakruvim. Gold for the pattern of the Merkava, the keruvim. So you see, number 1, the keruvim were the angels that I spoke to you about. Okay? The fact that the word keruvim is connected to the word merkava, right, is showing you something about Ezekiel's vision, that vision is the mechanism to achieve this merkava. That's number one. Merkava comes also, as Rabbi Kaplan brings down, merkava comes from the word rachav, right? Keruvim has the word rachav in it, guys. What's a rachav? As we're going to see, take a look at the pasuk of what rachav is. Vayirkav al kruv vaya'of vayida al kanfei ruach. Rabbi Kaplan brings you this pasuk from Tehillim. God rode. Vayirkav, rachav comes from the word riding. He was riding on a keruv and he flew and he swooped down on wings of spirit. That's the pasuk. Keruv, rachav all mean to ride. To ride. It has the same letters. What does that mean? And this is where we start having a lot more fun here. Playing with these ideas and playing with these words. Merkava, right? In this specific pasuk, it was talking about Hashem. Let's go back again. Look at the pasuk. The pasuk says, Hashem rode on a keruv and he flew and he swooped down on wings of spirit. Hashem rode on this. Riding is this idea of traveling and leaving his natural state. And he's like, I'm going to fly down to where you are, and I'm going to reveal myself in a specific way to you. Okay? The pasuk also talked about wings. Wings is something that covers. And God's like, I'm coming down to you, and I'm going to cover, because I can't show you my full glory. Again, you won't be able to survive, so to speak. But I'm going to make it that I'm accessible to you in a specific way, but I'm going to still be covered in a way. This wings concept. Ma'aseh merkava, this concept of what Ezekiel's vision teaches, is this idea to place yourself in a state to be able to be a merkava, to be able to ride and go up the heavens. A merkava literally means a chariot. And now I'm going to get into this very incredible high state and literally ride on this chariot and fly through the heavens, through all the upper worlds. Okay? That's the Maaseh Merkava. And there's a secret in regards to knowing that information. Okay? Easy, good, simple ideas. Very simple. For us common folk, this is an all-day affair for us. Okay. Now, let's go through some of these lines because this is very key. This right here will tell you exactly how this prophetic experience went down. This is super cool. So if you look at the pasuk, I have it already outlined for you. You don't even have to look at the main thing. It's all there for you. The prophet says, I looked and behold, this is a very famous pasuk. A lot of people know it. A stormy wind, ruach se'ara, coming from the north, a great cloud and flashing fire, and a glow round about it. And from its midst, the vision of the hashmal in the midst of the fire. What is we talking about here? There are so many interpretations of this. I was actually going to bring down, as you guys know, I'm hardcore Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman talks about this vision in different chapters, explaining what these visions have anything to do with life in general and this. We're not going to go there tonight, okay? But the Zohar does teach something very interesting. This idea of the stormy wind, which is the first step, this great cloud, and the flashing fire, refer to the three levels of the klipa. Klipas are husks. These are the impurities. These are the things that get in the way of attaining kedusha and holiness. They confuse the mind, and they block people from getting to higher states in the spiritual worlds. Okay? So these, I looked, a stormy wind, a great cloud, a flashing fire. This is what he experienced, guys. What does this all mean? It means that he experienced a lot of different obstacles that came in the way in order to finally be able to receive the highest light from Hashem. On the same token, again, you guys have the actual verses from Elijah as well in this PDF, and you can see it upstairs. You don't have to go back to right now. I have it for you. Elijah says something very similar. a great strong wind, an earthquake, and the fire. And then he says after the fire, there was a small, still voice. This is very famous liturgy coming from the prophets. So we have these ideas. What does this all mean? A chariot. Something, a mechanism that a chariot is something that goes and you're now going to take it, and you're going to ride with it, and you're going to fly upstairs to Shemayim. Okay? It says that Eliyahu Hanavi, right? He flew up in a chariot to Shemayim and he never died. Right? That's why he comes to all the brisses and Eliyahu Hanavi, right? That's how he went up there in a chariot. That's what it says. And you have the Merkava tank. That's a different thing. Now, let's take a look at this. It's very important. And I think for those people that have meditated before, I want you to look at this information and just think about your own personal experiences and what kind of that feels like or looks like. Because we're going to give you right now some like big terms for big prophets, but I feel like we can bring this down into our own level. Ruach Se'ara. First thing Ezekiel sees is the stormy wind. So it's brought down, Rabbi Kaplan brings it down. It's this idea of great agitation. Agitations of the mind, which become greatly exaggerated when a person reaches a high state of meditation. What does that mean? So Rabbi Kaplan says, your mind becomes so calm that any slight extraneous thought, any thought that comes in, it's like an earthquake, like a tornado disturbing the calm. The Abarbanel, which he uses as one of the main commentaries, he says on this, it's the ecstasy of the prophets when he begins to experience prophecy. He's overcome with great trembling. He's shaking. By the way, this is already after he's done the breath work. This is already way after he's so deep into the meditation. All of a sudden now we're shaking. This is like way past that. Okay? That's this idea of the powerful wind that was blowing. A tornado was being thrown at him. Think about that. He's such in a calm state, and anything that comes and just in the way, he's like, he can't handle himself. Okay? That's number one. Reb Kaplan brings you just to show you how other prophets experienced these specific things. They felt it too. Look at Daniel. My appearance was obliterated and my strength deserted me. Eliphaz, another prophet. Then a spirit wind ruach passed before my face, and it made the hair of my flesh stand on end. My hairs on my body were bing, standing up because I was like, oh my God, like that, right? Ezekiel himself, a spirit wind lifted me, and behind me I heard a great voice. I heard a Rash Gadol. Baruch Shem, Rash Gadol. Kadosh, Kadosh, Baruch Shem, right? This Rash Gadol that he heard, right? So they've experienced this crazy stormy wind, this Ruach Se'ara that's coming to them, like they can't handle it. That's the first klipa. Can you pass that klipa? That's step number one. Let's say they got through that. Ezekiel did. So he got through the stormy winds. Then comes the second klipa. And by the way, you could see I put a really, really nice stormy thunderous cloud up there. That's exactly what it is. Then you go to the second one. The second klipa is this, he sees a great cloud. What happens here? So imagine now we passed level 1, and now we're heading up to level 2. Level 2, I think, is also really intense. It's nothing can be seen or nothing could be experienced. Basically, you're like in complete darkness, and you're just holding in complete darkness in that space of darkness, right? It does this to, remember, a klipa's job is to say, you can't come up here. That's the job of the klipa. So it's discouraging the prophet to see, do you have the will to continue? Eliyahu Hanavi calls this the loud noise, Ra'ash Gadol. And Rabbi Kaplan says it's like undifferentiated white noise. You know what white noise sounds like? Have you guys heard of white noise? White noise is like, that's what white noise sounds like, right? So you're just in this really white noise. If you've heard of white noise for a long time, it's also really annoying. Okay? How long are you going to hang out with the white noise? I don't know, but he was definitely in it for a while. That's Elijah. right? It's telling you you're not going to see anything. Sorry, buddy, you're trying to go up, nothing, nada, good luck, right? Again, are you going to give up? How much can you push through this? Okay, there's a lesson for all of us in meditation. Some people can't even last 5 minutes. Some people can't last more than 20 minutes. Some people can't last more than 50 minutes. How long can you go in a state of higher levels of consciousness to push through the klipas that come your way? We don't even know what it takes to, like, how long we can go for it. Can we go for 3, 4, 5 hours? I can guarantee you these people were not doing it for like 20 minutes. They were in this state for quite some time, going through these levels as Ezekiel was going through. Abarbanel says, and also again, this idea, lack of sensation. Abarbanel says, guys, you know the story of Abraham Avinu, right? It says, a trance fell on Abraham. A fearsome darkness fell on him. That's the state that Abraham Avinu was in. He was in that state. He was now hitting in level 2, and that's what came down on Abraham Avinu. That's where it comes from in the Torah. Super cool that it's there, and Rabbi Kaplan is pointing that out. Abraham Avinu, this is the part I think when the Hashem was going to reveal to him the vision of that all descendants are going to come from you, you're going to be a great nation, that whole prophecy that was coming to him. I think this would be, if I'm correct, I think I'm correct. When that fell on him, that was already, I think it was even before that. I want to say it was before the Akedah. But he doesn't know what's going to happen. Abraham doesn't know what's going to happen in his future. He doesn't know anything, but he's in this darkness. This is level 2. Level 3 is the fire. Okay? So Rab Kaplan says that's like the wow, awe of Hashem, the shame, the embarrassment. Oh my God, I'm in front of Hashem. It also means, which is like fire. Gehenna is like fire, right? Gehenna is quote unquote hell, but hell is represented by fire. It's the embarrassment. It's embarrassing. It's fire. Fire is also an overabundance of sensation that threatens the prophet. The fire is saying there's great danger here. You sure you want to still go up? That's the fire. The wording is the best wording, of overabundance of sensation. So he went from like no sensation, complete darkness. Now it's like overstimulation. That's number 3. And our Barbarnell says it's an influx of prophecy that's flooding his mind. It's like purifying fire. That's the wording he used words. And why is he saying that? Because he brings you the psukim from Yirmiyahu. One of them, Hashem says, are not my words like fire? The guy's downloading prophecy to his brain. He's overstimulated now. He's in complete rapture, right? And that fire is like the pasuk that Hashem reveals. Are not my words like fire? And Yirmiyahu also says, it was in my heart like burning fire. So he's experiencing these feelings, these emotions, as he's going through the 3rd klipa, which is crazy, amazing. Fine. So you got through level 1, which was the stormy cloud. Then he made it to 2, which was the concept of the cloud, darkness. Then he went to 3, which is the fire, right? Over too much. He passes that level. He finally makes it through that. And now he attaining this level called the Noga. He sees this Noga. Noga, in the world of spirituality, you have to know that there's 3 klipas. In real life, besides these klipas from these visions, in real life, there are 3 klipas. These klipas are the ones that latch on. If you go to the world of the spheres, Malchus, the bottom Malchus, the sphere of Malchus, right? There are 3 specific klipas that love to latch on to Malchus. They feed off the holiness of Malchus, and they want to suck out the holiness. Malchus means you individually as a person. The klipas love to latch on to people. They want to suck out their holiness from them. They'll make you do negative things. They'll make you do sins. You make a sin, boom, let me take some of that. That's how it works. I know it's very complicated ideas from people that don't know. But there's a 4th level called the Noga. Noga is something that has holiness in it, and it's something that has klipa in it. It's like a neutral. It's like a neutral klipa. And you can suck out the light from the noga, from the darkness. You can take it actually out and bring it into kedusha and holiness. An example of that, I say this for anybody who's preparing for Shabbat. In Kabbalah, it's talked about this idea. It's a beautiful idea that you're supposed to take a hot shower before Shabbat begins. Okay? And the Kabbalah brings out and it says specifically that when a person is taking a hot shower, what you're doing is you are literally taking giving it to you ready for Shabbat, bringing it with you into Shabbat. Because the three klipas, they want to just suck out all the negative energy from you. That's why you have a lot of sometimes anxiety before Shabbat, and it's rushing you before Shabbat, and you get into fights with your potential spouse or kids before Shabbat, and it's very stressful before Shabbat. These are the nogas that are trying to like, let me try to get as much as I can from this guy. But these are the klipas. But if you go into a hot shower, it's like literally putting this burning fire and it's cleaning out these three, they're completely wiping them out. And now you can take the light from this noga and bring it with you into Shabbos. Okay? Same idea happens in this vision. What is noga? So now I finally level 4. We're heading to the noga. You're taking now just this light that he sees. It's coming through the darkness. Okay? This is called when your ego is totally nullified and all the sensation is hushed. You're literally, I guess, in such a state of like, you can't move. You're just literally a soul. You're so plugged in that you have no more control over anything. And you're in this state of seeing the noga, seeing the light. At that state, he then says that he reaches the level of the hashmal. Okay, this hashmal is this angelic glow. To make it simple, this angelic glow is similar to this idea of the small, still voice that Eliyahu Hanavi talks about as the final level. Hash means silence. Mal means speech, right? Small, still voice. He can hear the word of Hashem speaking to him. He reached this 4th level where now the voice of God is coming to him. Or it could just be a divine vision just coming to him and seeing it visually. Ezekiel was a visual guy. His prophetic experience, he literally saw everything. Eliyahu Hanavi was an audio guy. He experienced everything audibly. Again, which is a very interesting thing about prophecy, that your soul kind of correlates to, somebody has different type of features, that's what they're going to go with. Now, the Ramban says something really interesting. Ramban, guys, Nachmanides was very much into Kabbalah, right? Nachmanides, okay? He says that in this specific vision of Ezekiel, he says one area, and the Rav Kaplan, which is really amazing that he brings this down, because he doesn't say that this comes from Ramban. He points it out himself. He says that the opening line of Ezekiel's vision has the 72 letters in it, which correlates to the Hashem's 72-letter name. And he says that Ramban says that in Kabbalistic teachers have taught that Vayhi b'shloshim shana b'ribi chamishi lechodesh v'ani b'toch hagola al nehar kvar niftechu hashamayim ve'er mirot elokim literally is a mantra that if a person recites this line over and over and over and over, this is a mantra that potentially can give you access to the higher worlds. Don't try this at home. Or try it at home if you want. You're brave enough. I would assume it's in the beginning stages as you're trying to get up there. Because it says the heavens opened and I saw visions of God. I think it's the opening way. That's what he says. But Rav Kaplan, in his great Sadiq like power and vision that he saw, he's like, oh, and by the way, you should know that there's 2 other stanzas that also have 72 letters. And he shows you like, well, really like it could be spelled this way and it can be spelled that way. And he basically brings it down. He goes, these also psukim, if you say these specific psukim, this will also do the mantra that's the 72-letter name of Hashem. Very cool that he points it out. I got to give him respect for that because that's not simple. That means he's really analyzing the text and really looking at it. And you could see here, what are those? The same pasuk that I told you from before. I looked, a stormy wind came sweeping out of the north, a huge cloud and flashing fire, surrounded by a radiance. That's the Chashmal. And in the center was the center of the fire. This whole thing that we were speaking about, it's all part of it. That's one of them. And the other famous one, above their heads was the semblance of the throne, an appearance like sapphire. And on top of this was the semblance of a throne. There was the semblance of a human form. Everything I just mentioned to you about the whole story, about what's going on in the four worlds, guess what? Those are the 72 letter name psukim. Isn't that a coincidence? So we learned a lot of ideas and concepts on it. Now, I want to leave off with this last part. Okay? Sha'arei Kedusha is a book called The Gates of Holiness by Rav Chaim Vital. Okay? I've been learning this book now, Baruch Hashem, over the last several weeks. Okay? For those people that are those true spiritual junkies and you want to learn a lot of cool stuff about the worlds up there and about yourself, buy it. Great book to have. They have it now also in English as well. The Gates of Holiness by Rav Chaim Vital. Now, there is a whole section that Rav Kaplan put on this. And honestly, like I feel like it's so amazing and it's so long and I'm like, okay, I don't want to go through all this because it's literally another whole shiur just of Rav Chaim Vital and what he talks about. But this is just a cool concept because it's in the same chapter and I just want to bring it down because I feel like it's so amazing, this information, okay? Look at what Rav Chaim Vital says, okay? He says like this. Imagine yourself, your soul, okay, originally, your root of your soul actually is going all the way back up to the world of Tzilus, right? We spoke about the top world. I have news for you. Your soul, in its root essence, is stemming from Atzilus. It's actually all the way up there. And it literally flows down the worlds, going down all the worlds, going down the worlds until you flow down here. We literally have a pipeline of light that's flowing all the way from there, flowing down onto your head like this, right here, flowing through right here. Okay? Now, Rav Chaim Vital, and I'm giving you a little snippet. This is really, really long, but it's really, really amazing to think about, to know. Okay? A tree, right, has roots. Yeah? The first root is coming from the world of Atzilus, right? A tree goes down, it has branches, right? So the way it works is as follows. Root in Atzilus, let's say this is the world of Atzilus. You guys can see me up here. The world of Atzilus is right here, right? You have one root. It flows down to the world of Bria. Here's another root. And then you have another root going down to the world of Yetzirah. And then you have your final root where you're holding right now in the world of Asiya, right? We okay with that simple idea? It's a tree, flows from the top, flowing down to us here, okay? So look what Rav Chaim Vital says. The roots, however, remain attached to their source. The branches of these roots descend, they come down. They do so by reaching down and clothing themselves in physical bodies in the physical world. This light coming from Atzilus is flowing down like a light, and finally the light, the Shama, the soul, whatever, flows down into the body that we're in right now. Okay? He says this is like a tree. The branches are attached to the trunk of a tree, but when they are bent over, they can touch the ground, even though they're still attached to the tree trunk. What does that mean? Let's talk about this idea because it's really so interesting and another incredible imagination skill that we can use with regards to meditation. We have different roots. Look at tree trunks. Think about a tree trunk. Imagine, it's so weird because we're trying to like flip. I'm almost trying to say to you, I know it's so weird to say this. I wish I could have like a better diagram. But this is the root. Imagine really the root is here. The root should be up here. Okay, this is really where it begins. And it flows down. The branches, let's say you have a branch that's located in the world of Yetzirah. Okay, that's where you're holding. if you're able to pull down this branch of your light, of yourself, and just like pull it down to the world of Asiya, which is the world that we're in here right now, we can tap into higher levels of ourself by bringing down this branch of ourselves and pulling it down to this world. Okay? Now, what does that mean? Meaning that we have the power to connect to our higher selves. You can use the allegory of saying a branch of your own tree and pull it down to this world. But look what he says. He says, when a person commits a sin for which the punishment can be karet, karet is when you're cut off from the Jewish people, has v'shalom, for doing a very, very bad sin, the branch is cut off from the body of the tree. It then remains separated and remains in the physical world like the spirit of any other animal. If you did a specific sin, that branch that is used so you can plug into your higher self is completely chopped off. I don't have access anymore to bring down that light to myself. Does that make sense? Am I making sense to people? Or am I too deep for all you guys? You're holding? We're holding? Okay. And that's the meaning that the Rav Chaim Vital says that says that when a person does karet, that soul shall be cut off. Your mamish being cut off from the branch of your tree, from the higher source. And this is also the meaning of the verse, the very famous pasuk, man is a tree of the field. Man is connected to be called a tree. It's literally why it says that. Man is a tree of the field. It's also the mystical reason why some of the names are doubled. When Hashem calls Abraham, he's like, Abraham, Abraham, right? Yaakov, Yaakov, Moshe, Moshe. You see it happening. Why are you calling him by two names? So Chaim Vital says the first name corresponds to the root that remains on high, which is attached to the tree. And the second one is the branch that rests in the physical world. You see that we are so much bigger than we know. We are such big balls of light. We have so much power within us, not only to connect to Hashem at a high level, to connect to ourselves. And like this is a little snippet of a long, long Torah that can go on for a long time, discussing how the whole prophetic process works based upon Reb Chaim Vital and what he says. I just wanted to bring that down as bonus stuff because I think it's super fascinating to know that when Ezekiel's tapping into these higher worlds, he's tapping also to higher selves. And he's tapping to higher self. This is what we're doing. We're doing Jewish meditation. When we're connecting to our higher self, we are connecting to, when we're doing Jewish meditation, we're connecting to our higher self, connecting from the Ruach, from the Nefesh, to the Ruach, to the Neshama. Now you're connected to Hashem. And now we're able to, so to speak, go through this process of receiving downloads, of receiving higher light, of having visions, right? And this is our heritage. This is our heritage. And you could just see, just on one little simple vision, simple idea of what Ezekiel has explained to you. These are real things that happen. While we're talking about all these obstacles, the klippas that come in your way, person's trying to go through meditation, the thoughts that are coming in, lots of thoughts are coming in. That doesn't help the situation. It makes it more difficult to get into the zone, right? We can use that as the beginning stages of it. Going higher to a higher stage, right? The darkness. A person can go through this process. Let's say, for example, a person is going through breath work, and there's moments of complete, like, just white noise. Like, just complete nothingness. There's nothing really going on. I'm waiting to get to that next step. When is that going to happen? I'm not quite sure. Can I hold on tight to the ride and try to go through the process and not overthink things and just let things be and going and going and going higher worlds, right? The fire that comes down, then a person can experience. If people have been to specific type of meditations or breathwork sessions, people start shaking. People can mamish start shaking in these experiences, right? I'm not telling you they're having prophetic experiences, but I can definitely tell you they're going through these processes within the world that we know of today and what people go through in regards to meditation, etc. And you can experience these kind of things. And then finally, after you get to that stage, you get to such a point of ecstasy, connection to Hashem, and downloads, and a big hug, and love, and compassion, and mercy. And that's literally taking the light out of the darkness and be able to experience these high levels of closeness to Hashem. This is all very real. And Ezekiel was the OG. but he's on a much higher level. He's on a prophetic level. And we know, again, I'm going to repeat this line because it's very important to say it, that before Mashiach comes, prophecy is going to come back, which means that this is not that's a very nice thing, Michael. Thank you so much for something that happened thousands of years ago. This is very real. We have to learn how to take these concepts and be able to use them as a methodology to experience in whatever level that we're holding. If Reb Chaim Vital talks about in Gates of Holiness, you have no idea. A person has to work on themselves tremendously so that they can work on their different roots of Asiya and Bria and Yetzira. How can I clean myself? How can I clean myself so I can receive more light and more light and more light? Talks about it very, very much in depth. So with that being said, thank you very, very much for all those people that were here for tonight's class and for all you guys online as well. Take a deep breath.